Namaste and good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Janaagraha Center for Citizenship and Democracy and the Bala Janaagraha program in Janaagraha, I welcome you all to the annual Bala Janaagraha meet titled The Importance of Civic Education in Transforming the Quality of Life in Urban India. The theme for this meet, in a way, summarizes the mandate of the Bala Janaagraha program. The schedule for today's event has been mentioned on the reverse of your invitation card. And before we proceed, I have one request for you all. Please put your mobile phones on the silent mode. A warm welcome to our chief guest for today's event, Shri Azim Premji. Mr. Azim Premji, in fact, needs no introduction. He is a graduate in electrical engineering from Stanford University and has been at the helm of Wipro Limited since his return from Stanford in late 1960s. And today, he's at the helm of a 7.3 billion revenue company with a presence in IT, BPO, and R&D services in as many as 54 countries. All of us know Wipro with its promise of applying thought and as an organization deeply committed to values and to the belief that ordinary people are capable of extraordinary things. When organized into clearly and highly charged teams, the Wipro brand stands for delivering value for customers by following some of the best in class and otherwise best methods and tools, all of which owe a lot to Mr. Premji's personal interest and leadership. Mr. Premji is also a well-known advocate for business organizations having a deep social responsibility, which must be discharged not only through ethical, fair, and ecologically sustainable business practices, but also by active involvement in fundamental societal issues, a value that Janaagraha also holds very close to its heart. Wipro is especially known for its extensive work in improving quality of school education through its Applying Thought in Schools initiative, and also for promoting local community causes through its Wipro Cares program. In year 2001, Mr. Premji established the Azim Premji Foundation, a not-for-profit organization with a vision of significantly contributing to improving quality and equity in school education in India, to build a better society and a better country. The financial resources of this foundation have been personally contributed by Mr. Premji. I request my colleague Kritika to present a bouquet to Mr. Premji and formally welcome him to this event. We also have, as one of the dignitaries for today's event, Ms. Maya Menon, founder director, the Teacher Foundation. She has been in the field of education for over 30 years. Her areas of professional experience include conceptualizing, designing, implementing a wide range of school and teacher-related projects and services. She has also been associated with Wipro Applying for Thought in Schools, Teacher Empowerment Project. In 1988, she set up the newspaper in education program for the Times of India in Bangalore. Her interests include school effectiveness research, teacher development, collaborative approaches to teaching and learning, interpersonal communication in the classroom, school industry links for school improvement, leadership and strategic management of schools. She has written on issues concerning educational practice and management in leading publications, such as the Times of India, the Economic Times, and Education World. Between 2000 and 2008, she was the South Asia editor for ELTECS, that is the English Language Teaching Contact Scheme, a global network of English language teaching professionals spearheaded by the British Council. She continues as a member of the ELTECS advisory team for British Council, London. I request Rijita, my colleague from Edu Media, which is a partner institution for Bala Janaagraha, to present a bouquet to Ms. Maya Menon. The third dignitary to grace this occasion is Mrs. Pritam Benjamin, Director, Indus Training and Research Institute, ITARI. An educator for over 38 years, Mrs. Benjamin has a deep and abiding faith in practical idealism that should guide the responsibility of educating children. She has been awarded 7 gold medals from the University of Allahabad, both at graduate and postgraduate levels in English literature, has a B.Ed from Calcutta University, and has lectured in English literature at Women's College, Ranchi, and Loreto College, Kolkata. She has committed herself to school teaching at Shishya in Chennai, La Martiniere School for Girls in Kolkata, Bangalore International School, National Academy of Learning Bangalore, Indus International School, and Inventure Academy Bangalore. She has been an educational consultant to 3 schools, including some of the names that I have mentioned earlier, and now provides the benefit of her experience and growth in the field of education to those who are committed to providing for the compelling needs of children to grow, aspire, excel, and contribute. I request Kritika to present a bouquet to Mrs. Benjamin to formally welcome her to this event. We also have Dr. Jairam, one of our advisory board members. He is the founder director of the Institute of Leadership and Institutional Development, I lead, in Bengaluru. He is a consultant, teacher, and entrepreneur businessman, and has, over the last 3 decades, specialized in assisting organizations manage change and create long-lasting high performance. He has been a key well-wisher of Janaagraha, and we value his contributions to our organization. Request Rijita to present Dr. Jairam a bouquet. We also have amongst us a key representative of the Azim Premji Foundation, Mr. Lakshmi Narayan. I request my colleague Kritika to present him a bouquet. Our co-founder, Ramesh Ramanathan, whom we all know, is also here. Request Rijita to present him a bouquet. And the last bouquet, I promise, to our coordinator, Jana Roots, General Prasad. Once again, I welcome you all, principals, vice principals, HMs, key representatives of schools and educational institutions who are our partners at present, and I'm certain to be, from Bengaluru, teachers from our partner schools, representatives of our partner institutions, students who have been a part of the Bala Janaagraha program in this academic year, and my colleagues from Janaagraha. With that, I request the co-founder of Janaagraha, Ramesh Ramanathan, to address you.
Mr. Premji, respected friends, many of you are old friends, some of you are new. Welcome to all of you. I know that this is an early morning start on a rush hour day on a very busy arterial road, so I'm hoping that by the time we get to hear Mr. Premji, there will be more of us who will be in the room. Can I pull up this? Is there? Okay. So I have my mandate today is not to talk about Bala Janaagraha. My colleagues, General Prasad and Valli, will talk to you about what Bala Janaagraha is. But it's more about setting the context and talking about Janaagraha and the issues that we are looking to solve. So I'm going to take about 15 minutes or so to present a very brief presentation on what is the problem that Janaagraha is looking to solve. Since this is a group of educationalists, I'm going to keep it very specific so that we get to know the real challenges that our cities face. And that is the metaphor of the iceberg as well, that what we experience in our day-to-day lives, when we go around, whether we drop our children off at school, go to work, go to buy our vegetables, and so on, are the challenges that we can see, the challenges of traffic and water and air pollution and so on. But what is beneath those issues is really what's invisible to us, but that are the city systems by which our cities need to be run. And in the great cities around the world, those city systems run really well. And clearly, Indian cities, because we're just beginning our journey of urbanization, need to get our systems better. And that's the area that Janaagraha works on. So let me begin by giving you two, you can say, archetypes, two characters between whom, in some sense, our lives are. And one is Ganesh. You can read that. Ganesh is an auto rickshaw driver, single income, has 2 children. And look at key indicators. Oh, it's not on presentation mode? Okay, that's fine. This is good. Look at the key indicators of his quality of life. He lives in a rental 200 square foot place. It's an informal, dense slum, next to an open drain, overflowing with garbage and sewage, has a community water tap which only comes 2 hours a day, twice a week. Family uses substandard pedestrian roads, an inconvenient city bus system to move around. The area that they live in is close to a park and a playground. In case there are any safety issues, they're reluctant to go to the police because there is a fear. And of course, when we talk about higher order things of quality of life like museums and other public amenities, there's absolutely nothing available to him. Look at the other end of the spectrum. Pradeep, who works as a senior executive in an IT company, single income again, 2 children, lives in an independent home, 4,000 square feet, upper income, planned neighborhood, maybe in Indira Nagar or something. But look at the other aspects. Has an open drain behind his house, overflowing with garbage and sewage. Has managed to de-risk himself from the water supply by having a sump and an overhead tank so that de facto gets 24/7 water supply. The family always uses private vehicles with a chauffeur-driven car. So again, no exposure to the public transport system. And like Ganesh, Pradeep's house is also close to a park and a playground, but not very many facilities. As far as security is concerned, they have a guard and they have an alarm system. And again, like Ganesh, no real access to great world-class museums or public amenities. This is very typical of the life that we live, somewhere in between these two. But look at the other end of the spectrum. 2 similar characters in New York. David, who's a taxi driver, family is double income, has 2 children. And look at his quality of life, has a 400 square foot own home. And these are all real people, by the way. Mixed income zoned neighborhood in Brooklyn, which is just one of the boroughs of New York. Clean neighborhood, no litter on the streets, gets 24/7 water that he can open the tap and drink from. The family uses pedestrian-friendly streets and a convenient network of buses and subway systems to move around, close to parks and playground, has no issues in reporting to the neighborhood police. In fact, there is a formal community participation opportunity and a community watch group. There's a community council in which, if David wants, he can go and engage. And then, of course, access to world-class museums and a wide variety of public spaces. Look at the similarity in the life between this man and somebody at the other end of the social spectrum, of the economic spectrum in that city. a hedge fund manager earning hundreds of thousands of dollars, but look at how they access pretty much the same kind of services, whether it's water supply, whether it's public amenities, whether it's public transport systems, choosing to go to work. Very often you would be rubbing shoulders in a Manhattan subway train with the CEOs of companies, with people who are senior executives. And that happens on a day-to-day basis. So there is a major disconnect between what we are experiencing in terms of quality of life in our cities here, where the few who are privileged are able to somehow de-risk our lives from the larger challenges that our city faces. I want to now go, this is the stuff above the iceberg, on the top, the stuff that's visible. What is beneath the iceberg? The simplest way to understand what's beneath the iceberg is to look at the organization chart of the city of New York, okay? This is the organization chart of the city of New York. There's somebody called the mayor. Now everybody would know who the mayor of New York. Anybody knows who the mayor of New York is? Anybody knows who the mayor of New York is? Sorry? Bloomberg. Mayor Bloomberg is the mayor of New York. Anybody knows who the mayor of Bangalore is? Very often we would know the mayor of, we have some guests from Patna. I'm sure you would know the mayor of New York, but you wouldn't know the mayor of Patna. That's because they don't have a big role to play other than going and receiving dignitaries at the airport and so on. Look at the organization chart. I want to give you 3 examples. You can't see the text of this, but I want to give you 3 examples of what that organization chart means in terms of actual things on the ground. Let me just take traffic and transport, something that bothers us on a day-to-day basis. How does New York's organization chart address traffic and transport? Under the organization, the entire Department of Transportation reports to the mayor. The entire Department of Transportation. The entire Taxi and Limousine Commission, which means the medallions of how many taxis should be given, what is the rate of the taxi medallion, everything is decided under the mayor's office. Look at the Department of City Planning, which determines, again, what is the way in which you will decide the traffic systems, the patterns, and so on. Look at the variety of other boards, authorities, commissions, and corporations. Collective Bargaining, Civil Services Commission, Environmental Control Board. Look at the last line of that, the Metropolitan Transport Authority, that runs the entire subway system of Manhattan, reports into the New York mayor. Take another example, take city planning. Look at all the departments that are in city planning. The Department of City Planning itself, which is responsible for the city plan. Economic Development Corporation, which actually is responsible to say where will the city grow, what kind of income and activities will we do. The entire New York City Housing Authority, the Department of House Preservation and Development, so they talk about heritages and landmarks, the Department of Buildings, which looks at the safety of buildings, Landmark Preservation Commission, all of these are under the mayor's office of the city of New York. And let me give you one more example, which is the opportunity for participation. How does the city of New York, a complex city with 10 million people, with a city GDP which is 40 times that of Bangalore, how does it manage and still do justice to people's desire to involve themselves? There are borough boards. As I said, there are 5 boroughs in New York. Every one of the borough boards has an opportunity for local communities to be members of it formally, not stand on the outside and send sifarishes, but actually be part of the decision making. There are community boards that are there for every borough. There's a chief services officer. There's a mayor's volunteer center. There are centers for youth and community development. There is a on civilian complaint review board and so on. I'm just giving you a few examples. There's a community volunteering system for the local neighborhood police, the community watch that I talked about. All of these, again, come under one departmental, one head, one directly elected head of the entire organization. Compare this to Bangalore. This is the organization chart of Bangalore. You have a city council, you have the mayor, then you have a commissioner who is appointed not by the mayor, not by the city council, but coming in from the state government, whose previous position would have been in women and child welfare, and his next position will be in sericulture. So his job here is for 2 years to be running this. Whereas in the US, in the examples I gave you, not just in US, in most countries around the world, that's a technically qualified job. Somebody who wants to run a city of 10 million people should have had a job description to say, I have run cities of 5 million, before which I ran a city of 4 million. So my career path is clearly established. Various departments under this, on the right, are all what we call parastatals, all various departments that are not reporting to the city government, but actually reporting directly in some form or the other to the state government. Let me take the same 3 examples of traffic and transport. What exactly is under the direct control of the city government? Nothing. There is an engineering department which is responsible for road maintenance. That's all that it can control. Everything else, from RTO, which gives out licenses, to the regional planning board, to traffic police, to the Bangalore Development Authority, to the BMTC, to the Bangalore Metro Rail, every one of them is a standalone agency reporting in some form or the other to the state government. There's absolutely no coordination in terms of getting traffic and transport done. Why is this important? Because it's not about individual competence, it's about institutional constraints. This is the city system that is under the iceberg, which is completely broken. So it doesn't matter whether Mr. Siddhaya is the commissioner today and he gets replaced by Mr. Junjunwala tomorrow. Until you fix the system, you will not get anything that's lasting. And the same thing goes true for planning as well. What exactly is the role of the city government in planning? Absolutely nothing. Not a single role that the city has in planning. All of the relevant agencies and departments for planning fall outside the ambit of the city government. Department of Economics and Statistics, which by the way doesn't put out any economics and statistics worth using. The Development Authority, the Town and Country Planning Department, and the Regional Planning Board. Again, huge dysfunctionality. And finally, of course, when it comes to community participation, there is no role. So we can do protests, we can do dharnas, we can do requests, we can file PILs. All of these are genuine options in a vibrant democracy. So that's good. But imagine the effort taken to get 1 ounce of output. Imagine the 150 ounces of energy we have to invest to get one small success. We keep saying that we're all like pressure cookers. We're all prestige citizens. We're pressure cookers and no place to express this passion that we have for our cities, for our neighborhoods, because there's no channel to convert that latent energy into something constructive. So how does that happen, in this? How do we set the systems right? If you compare, I've talked about this, is there a way to set it right, or are we completely doomed? The answer is there is a way. If you looked at the same New York in 1906, piled up uncollected for days, sewage would be flowing on the streets, corruption was rampant, and not just in New York, in most cities around the world. Today were not great, they were not born great, they became great because a set of individuals took leadership, took ownership over those cities and said, we're going to fix this problem because this is ours. And then the systems got put in place, and then individual leaders could stand on those systems and excel. So how can we do that? Can we have a framework? And that's been the thrust of Janaagraha's work, which is to say, of course we need anecdotal successes, because that's the journey of all individual lives. But we need to go beyond anecdotal successes. We need to be able to say, how can we build the right systems? So is there a framework? Our work over the last 12 years has shown us that there is a framework, and we can systematically work on putting that framework together. What does that framework contain? 4 pieces. 4 pieces of what we believe is a framework to build vibrant cities, which can benefit everybody, not just the rich, not just the middle class, but the poor and everyone. What are these 4 parts? Robust urban planning and design. You have to have great planning and design to have great cities. The second, enhanced urban capacities and resources. Management capacities, technically competent people who know how to deal. Bangalore today generates 6,000 tons of garbage. You cannot solve that unless you're technically qualified to manage that supply chain from start to finish. You need technical competencies for that. And so on and so forth for every urban challenge. Empowered representatives, that means that mayor, the Bloomberg equivalent in Bangalore, should be empowered. But we need to go beyond empowered. We need legitimate elected representatives, and Mr. Premji talked about this when the garbage crisis happened a few months ago. We, of course, want more power to be given to the municipal authorities, and a lot of people have spoken about that, 74th Constitutional Amendment, decentralization, and so on. But it's not just about giving more power. The people who are there need to be legitimate. What do I mean by that? Today, voter lists in our cities have 70% error rates. 70%. Why is it 70%? And it's not just in Bangalore, it's in Patna as well, it's in Ludhiana, it's in Pune, it's in Hyderabad. Not because, again, the system is corrupt, but the system is broken. A system that was designed for 19th century rural India, where once a year the Tehsildar could land up and verify the list because hardly anybody changed in that village. So the Tehsildar could do it part-time with the help of a few government school teachers. You take that system and you transplant it into urban India, where you have hundreds of thousands of people coming into the city and moving within the city. That system gets overwhelmed. So every year, 10%, that's our study that shows that 10% of the voters in an area actually move out every year. So imagine an assembly constituency. We're going to have elections in Bangalore in the next month. 2 lakh voters in an average assembly constituency. 20,000 people move out every year. Another 20,000 people are moving in. That means every year, 40,000 transactions have to be recorded. You can't do this with the Tehsildar coming in November, supported by a few school teachers. You need to do this on a systematic, continuous basis. This system doesn't exist today because it was not meant for urban India. So we're now working with the Election Commission to actually fix this system. In one assembly constituency in Shantinagar, our team is here, the ground team. We have invested over 100,000 man-hours, and the quality of the voter list now is 75% accurate. We are confident that in the next elections, we'll at least be 10% higher turnout than the other constituencies in Bangalore. So it will prove for once that it is not about apathetic urban Indians, it is about a bad voting system, which will then cause legitimate elected representatives to come. And the last piece of the puzzle is transparency, accountability, and participation, like we talked about. There must be an opportunity. Participation is like a Velcro. I am willing to participate if the system allows me a chance to participate. So there must be a meeting ground for the two to come together. The great cities around the world have all these 4. Look at the bottom left. There's a city called Porto Alegre in Brazil. Very much like an Indian city 15 years ago, like a lot of corruption, a lot of poverty, a lot of infrastructure challenges, huge budgetary resource problems. And they, in a period of 10 years, opened up the entire budgeting system to say, why should the budget be decided just by the council? Today, 50,000 people come together in the city football stadium to hand over the people's budget to the mayor and the council. 80% of the city's budget is decided by that process. And quality of life in Porto Alegre has dramatically changed. People said initially it's only in Porto Alegre, it can't go anywhere else. It has moved across Brazilian cities. People said it's only for 1 or 2 years, it won't sustain. It is the 15th year and it's still going on. Look at other cities. I talked about New York. Look at the London transportation system. Complicated, multiple departments, tremendous capacities. The way they have built out their infrastructure, the way they're doing their interdepartmental pricing, ticketing systems, all of that. And robust urban planning and design, just in our own area in Asia, look at Singapore. They don't just release the entire landmass in one shot. They plan the city so that they say, how do we ensure that we get a reasonable amount of the city planned before new areas are opened up? Whereas you have Bangalore, 800 square kilometers, out of which 60% of the city, of that 800 square kilometers, is still not fully densified. And yet we're building all this expensive infrastructure, taking the city further and further away. If we did all this, and it'll take us 15 years to do it, this is the journey of lifetimes. This is not the journey of Nescafe change. We can move our city infrastructure, quality of life, from what we see today to what we see in movies. We can take our buses and move them from what these are to the kind of things that we can enjoy traveling in and leave our cars behind only for our weekend travels. We can move our slums into things that people can live with life with respect and dignity. And finally, we can do all this with each of us playing our role, each of us saying, I had a hand to play in this. This is the journey of what Janaagraha is trying to catalyze. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramesh. Good time, I submit, to introduce myself. My name is Vardhaman Vaidya. I am a member of the Urban Capacity Building team at Janaagraha, a proud Janaagrahi. 2 quotes come to mind. It was Alvin Toffler who said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. The other quote, the difference between school and life is that in school you are taught a lesson and then given a test. In life, you are given a test that teaches you a lesson. That was Tom Baudet. Bal Janaagraha's objectives, to a significant extent, straddle both these quotes. And to tell you more about the program, I now invite General Prasad, coordinator of Jana Roots.
Good morning to you all. As Ramesh was pointing out, the main objective of Janaagraha is to improve the quality of life of an urban citizen. And we have many programs running to move towards that. And one of the programs is the Bala Janaagraha program, about which I'll just like to tell you something. And this supports the objective of Janaagraha. What are the objectives of this Bala Janaagraha program? Basically, to transform today's children into active citizens of tomorrow. Because these children of today are going to be tomorrow's citizens, and it's very necessary that they become the active citizens and understand the issues and problems at the grassroots levels. How do we do that? We administer practical civic education program aimed at urban India's school children to create active citizenship values in young people through the educational system. When we say that, we find that, today, though some of us may say that the civics is as it is being taught in schools, what is the big deal that Janaagraha is doing? We see that today in schools, the school children are taught at macro level, in the sense that how is the Prime Minister elected, what is the Parliament, how is the Rajya Sabha elected, and how the President is elected, and so on and so forth. But what about the city problems? What about the grassroots level issues? How is the mayor elected? How do you get water? How do you get electricity at home? What is urban governance? These are the issues generally not covered. So therefore, Janaagraha's program targets this and ensures that children understand these, so when they become adults and they become citizens, they understand and they know where and what to expect and how to steer themselves and the society. They help school children discover the rights and responsibilities of citizens in democracy, empower children with the knowledge, skills, and values necessary to develop a deep sense of ownership and responsibility towards their society, and most important of all, demystify governance, introduce the political relevance of the ward system, and stress the need for citizen participation in local governance, what Ramesh was just talking about. The program. How does the program work? Basically, schools partner with us, and it's a free program, by the way. Partner schools, what we expect and request partner schools is 20 classes of 40 minutes each in the entire year. That makes it 800 minutes in the entire year, period, that's all. Before we start the program, we conduct a survey to the school children whom this program is being administered to understand the civic literacy level at the beginning of the program. And then, at the end of the program, we again conduct post-education or post-classes survey to find what has been the change. And 11-12, we had this civic literacy test administered for the first time to track the changes which have occurred in these two surveys. Before, that is the pre-survey, we conducted this in 41 schools out of 60 schools in Bangalore, just as a sample size. And then we found 35.5 was the literacy score. And then after the end of the course, we had 54.26, a percentage of increase of about 18.16 from the previous percentage. We had targeted at 50%, and we reached more than that, about 17%. This involves 20 classroom sessions, basically. That is, we have 10 classroom sessions as a classroom level, 4 classes for e-modules, and another 6 modules for the live project. So therefore, when we conduct this with the school book, that is the curriculum, we have a book which is called as Me and My City. This consists of basically various types of day-to-day grassroots level problems and issues. What is citizenship? What is government? What is urban planning? Water, electricity, health, social justice, and you have what you call as safety and security. So this book is basically provided free of cost to the children, all children undergoing this program. And then they are taught this at the school for the 8th class. We target 8th class because below that we feel they may not be that mature. And higher classes, the school do not want because of the board examination, 9th and 10th being critical years. So 8th has been seen, and it was tried out, and we find that 8th class is a very suitable class for this particular program. So as I was saying, after the E-modules, in fact, we have got 10 classroom modules, and we have E-modules of 4 sessions. This means this is the games, like for example, let's take garbage collection, how to segregate the garbage. It's a game where the children can play and understand through the games, actually the grassroots level problems, how to solve them. So they understand this, and that these are the games which every child is made to participate and learn more about this. And we end this entire program of the year with 6 periods for what we call as civic fest. And what we do is we give these form groups of 8 to 10 children, and in each school, in each class, we give them live projects. Just not the simulated project, actually on live project. That is, for example, it could be roads, it could be garbage collection. And so past 2 years, we have been giving the children a theme of roads. So these children, they go on the road, they select a road, go on the road, they do a survey of the people, users of the road. They go to the vendors, they measure the width, and they find out what are the problems existing on the road. And they give a solution. And these solutions, some of them the children have been giving amazing solutions. So the partner schools themselves, they ensure the participation of class 8 students. We have the volunteers, in addition to the facilitators or the staff at the Janaagraha, we have the volunteers who are purely citizen volunteers who we request them to give about 40-50 minutes of their time in 1 week. That's all is required. And we request and we teach them and train them to go and take classes in these schools or in the 8th class of the schools selected who are partnering with us. And you'll be amazed to know that we have got doctorates, we have got scientists, we have got engineers who are in this program as Bala Janaagraha volunteers, and we call them as Bala Janaagraha Mitras. And of course, Bala Janaagraha team, basically spearheaded by, we have got a manager for this, and then facilitators. Each facilitator just looks after and administers about 10 schools, so that this is how this particular program works. The reach, we humble beginning in 2002 from 5 schools. We now, at 11-12, the program has reached to more than 21,000 students across various schools in Bangalore and Patna. In 2012-13, Bala Janaagraha reached to more than 10,000 schools across 134 schools in Bangalore, and 9 schools as a pilot in Hyderabad, 3 schools, 1 in each city of Patna, Pune, and Ludhiana. We started this as a pilot, and we took to a few places, 1 or 2 schools, and in Hyderabad and Bangalore, we took 10 schools each. And this was as a partnership model to see the effect and efficiency of this partner. We have a partner for these 2 schools, all these schools. And in Hyderabad and Bangalore, also 10 schools we tried out as partnership to see how it works. And it has been working amazingly well. And therefore, if you see the Bala Janaagraha's journey as such, from 5 schools, we have now reached 146 schools in 2012-13. Just to show you as to effectiveness of the program and the children, what they showed, how they did the project in Patna is one of the examples. We have got the principal of Patna school also here with us. And these children, one group of children, they were given this road as projects. They did not stop. Once they collected this data and information, they went to the corporator, they went to the road building engineer who is in charge of the chief engineer, And they didn't even stop at that. They went and met the chief minister and gave this solution for this road as to what are the problems and what are the solution they offered. And the chief minister, in fact, if you see, he has given his own remarks, written on this, saying that he's amazed. And he said he will take action short-term measures and the long-term measures to solve this road. And he wished the students all the best. So this has been the power of this program of Bala Janaagraha. And what's the way ahead we have? From 5 cities which are having now, we want to scale to 15 more cities next year. That is 12, 13, 14. And then we want to hold a national festival this time. We had earlier City Fest, and now this will be a national fest which we'll be holding. And so this is the basic journey of, rather I would say, the Bala Janaagraha program, how it has been scaling up with a modest presence of 5 schools in 2002 to, as we stand today, to 5 cities and 146 schools. And especially now to tell us about the Bangalore program, how it started and where we have reached today, I would hand over to the manager of the Bangalore program, Wali, to take it forward. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start, let me assure you that my voice is not so bad. I can actually sing. Well, without wasting any time, I would like to just continue from where Chandra Prasad finished. Just a very quick point. The crux of the program is the civic project, which the children actually do in their communities. And as for the year 2012-13, the theme was Understanding Urban Planning and Design Through Roads. So without wasting any time, I would like to have the winners of the civic project, Civic Fest. As soon as we have Mr. Premji deliver his keynote address, I would like to have the children from the winning teams present their projects to Mr. Premji and the audience here, so that you get an understanding as to what exactly this program is all about and understand how exactly children are able to translate what they learn in the classroom into work in their communities. So may I request Mr. Premji to please come and deliver the keynote address, sir.
Let me give you some thoughts in terms of what the roles of leadership in education should be doing so far as students are concerned. And we have been working in education, primary education, now a little bit more in secondary education for about 12 years, both in the company as well as in our foundation. So we bring some amount of perspective and learning in terms of what makes for an educated child and what makes for an institution equally important, which renders high quality education, and teachers and head teachers, which are really the key participants in delivering this high quality of education. In the year 2005-2008, we conducted a research study to identify schools where learning was genuinely happening and the factors that were influencing these outcomes. It was a fairly scientific study and fairly well validated. The study was government schools in Karnataka. It involved over 2,000 schools, so it was a fairly representative sample. There were just a few factors that differentiated the schools where learning was happening. The most significant and most consistent factor across the large sample was the quality of school leadership. So the quality of school leadership is absolutely fundamental to the quality of good education. And if you go across the country, you find the most difficult talent to be able to man, the most difficult talent to be able to find is school leadership. We find this in village schools. We find that in the schools we have been setting up in the villages. But that is absolutely pivot to rendering good quality education in a village school or in a city school or in a community school. In other words, where the school leadership was good, the school was good, absolutely uniform. I'm sure this conclusion doesn't surprise most of us. We are all familiar with the importance of school leadership, but we don't do enough about it. Since most of you play roles as school leaders, I will try to share some thoughts that may be relevant to your roles. And these are the most important thoughts which have been culled out from our experience in terms of studying successful schools from less successful schools. Before I do that, let me just touch upon a point in terms of what is our philosophy of good education and what should be the general philosophy of good education. In my view, good education is that which enables the growth and development of the child in multiple dimensions, such as that she is able to fulfill and expand her potential, as also to become an active, contributing, and concerned citizen of the world and of the society she participates in. These multiple dimensions of development of the child that I referred to are cognitive, they are social, they're emotional, they're physical, and they're ethical, most important. While it is implicit that in what I have stated, let me still point out that good education is not rote memorization, furthest from it. And getting good grades is about developing a good human being is not correct. And an active citizen is not made by getting good grades. The understanding of good education that I have shared is certainly not new to you. It is there in our national policy documents, in the writings of scores of educationists, and I'm sure also in your extracurricular goals. In the context of this broader and deeper purpose of education, the role of the school leader becomes much more important. Let me share a few thoughts in this regard. First, I think it is important that the school leader has a visible, outspoken, expressed, and custodial purpose of education in the school. That should be the basic objective of the school. Else it is very easy for us to slip in the ritualistic, role-based, marks-driven education that we see all around us, and more prevalent in our country. Being a custodian is not easy. It will require battling many forces and continuously convincing many people. But I think it's a natural task of any leader. Now you realize the fundamentals of that. I was talking to Ramesh, and that has been our experience also. Your real interventions in the school for making change comes in the standards up to Standard 8. After Standard 8, the whole approach of the school turns to examinations. And they do not want anything outside of examinations to be on their curricula and to be a distraction to the students. Second, education of this nature requires capable and confident teachers. Confidence is very, very important in the teacher. These people can create an enabling environment where teachers can grow and develop. This requires a culture of trust, of experimentation, and of openness. Such a culture needs to be consciously developed by the leadership of the school. Third, the kind of education that we have talked about is not merely an outcome of classroom instruction. It is significantly driven by school culture. And the school leader has the most determining, most important role in shaping and building and sustaining this culture. Let me discuss specific examples to get this point across. First, if we want our children to grow up with democratic values, then our schools must have democratic values. This means that the school leader must be able to foster a culture where there is reasonable discussion and everything and things are not determined by hierarchy. In such a culture, the merit of each view and the argument is that the important factor is not who has expressed the view. The view itself is an important factor. In schools, the leader will have to play an active role in making this happen because there is already a seemingly natural hierarchy of the teacher, the student, the principals, the administrative head, etc. Second, if we want our children to grow up with scientific temper and intense curiosity, then the school culture must be that of vigorous inquiry and vigorous debate. Questioning must be encouraged, and along with coaching for reasoning. Disagreements of views must be openly aired and resolved through discussion in the school. Children must also be encouraged to follow their curiosity and not get boxed in continuously. Third, if we want our children to grow up emotionally stable and in a state of well-being, then the school culture must be supportive of this. In absence of this support, it cannot happen. Encouraging and accepting of the child should be an ongoing process. The school culture must not be that of fear and punishment. The culture must be built of confidence, of sharing, and where the child is able to function in it in a productive, confident, easy manner. The child must be able to discover her interests and abilities and not label them as good or bad. Fourth, if we want our children to grow and develop with a deep sense of honesty and integrity, then they must see the school expressing, practicing this sense of integrity and honesty on a consistent, no-exception basis. Preaching to the children that they must be honest has no effect. Children learn honesty from behavior, from practice, and from repetition of demonstration. In a society where integrity and honesty are eroding, schools and school leaders can play a very important role in anchoring this value within the school. For this, the school leader will have to build a culture of integrity in the school, which is visible relationship between children and teachers, within the teachers and the school staff, and with the school leader. Finally, if you want our children to grow up with social sensitivity and responsibility, then our schools have to be socially sensitive. A school being socially sensitive is reflected in many ways. It is reflected in the issues that are discussed in the school, in the language that is being used in these discussions, and also in the kind of things that the school may engage with in the society around the school. The school sensitivity is reflected even more visibly in schools in another way, which children learn from every day. And this is in the way that the schools treat each individual, especially the powerless individuals. It is reflected in the relationship between the school leaders and teachers. It is most starkly reflected in how the school treats the child and the housekeeping staff, because it is the school that are the most powerless. If the school treats the child and the housekeeping staff with respect and dignity and care, that is what the child will learn, and the child will practice it at home. I've tried to emphasize that education that develops a good human being and a good citizen needs a lot more than classroom instruction. It needs far more than just rote learning and rote teaching. Which is why school leaders, all of you all present here, have a crucial role in making good education really happen. And good education is one of the most important methods of building a better society. Thank you for your time.
I request our co-founder, Mr. Ramesh Ramanathan, to please come upon the dais and present to our chief guest, Mr. Premji, a memento. Mr. Premji, thank you very much for your special message and your insight that it is a certain kind of broad-based education, a certain manner of learning that will bring to our children the ability to make a difference. I request now the students who are with us today to join us on the stage for a group photo with Mr. Premji and Ramesh Ramanathan. I also request the Bala Janaagraha team to join in for the group photo. And also representatives of EduMedia, our partner organization in Bangalore. The two other dignitaries, Ms. Menon and Mrs. Preetham, and also Mr. Vinod, Principal TPS Patna. While our chief guest can spare some more time to be with us, may I quickly call upon the dais the first runner-up of the Civic Fest Grand Finale 2012-13, Oasis International School, to represent the presentation they made during the Civic Fest finals.
A very good morning to all the dignitaries and each and every one of you present here. What's his name? We, the Bala of Oasis International School, are going to give you a presentation on the project Namma Rastegalu. May I introduce you to my teammates. This is Zishan, Shara Abir, Afaf, Naura, Thiba, Naureen, Laisa, Misbah, Ali Dayan, and myself is Nabil Ahmed. May I request Ali to please begin the project by telling what does urban planning mean to us?
Urban planning means to plan or develop a city which has all facilities such as good infrastructure, improved housing facilities and amenities. Amenities include safer roads, cleaner surroundings, connecting roads, better transport system and planned out green belt areas. This will reduce crime rate, pollution, health hazards and improve the overall quality of life and standard of living.
For our survey, we took a part of the Narayanpura main road. This part measured 481 meters in length and 8 to 9 meters in width. We interviewed people, shopkeepers, residents and commuters. There were 33 trees, 36 shops and 9 electric poles and 6 telephone poles on either side of this part of the road.
Why we selected this road? As we walked along this road, we found out that this part of Narayanpura main road is very badly broken with a countless number of potholes. There's gravel on either side. There are no street lights, no footpaths, nor footpaths or any bus services.
We analyzed the data collected and made plans to work on them. Our group suggested 3 plans. Now do you tell you about the plans?
Our group suggested 3 plans. In the first plan, we took a 12-meter road with 2 footpaths on either side of the road measuring 2 meters and a 2-way traffic lane, each lane measuring 4 meters. In the second plan, again we took a 12-meter road with 2 footpaths on either side of the road measuring 2 meters, a parking lane of 2 meters and then a 2-way traffic lane, each lane measuring 3 meters. And the third plan, we took a 13-meter road with 2 footpaths on either side of the road measuring 2 meters, a parking area of 2 meters and a 2-way traffic lane, each lane measuring 3.5 meters. We rejected plan 1 as it didn't have a parking area. We rejected plan 2 as the lane was much narrower than the one in plan 3. We selected plan 3 as the lane was much wider.
We took an appointment to meet the BBMP councillor, Mrs. Tejaswini and Raju, and her husband, Mr. Nandesh Raju. We spoke to them about the problems faced by the people because of the broken roads which has no footpaths or street lights. Later, when we showed them our road construction plan, they told us that this plan had already been forwarded to the government 3 years ago. But this plan could not work because the people were not willing to give a part of their land for road widening. Later, to our surprise, he also added that the road construction had already begun over the weekend. Just to verify, we went back to the service site and found that the road construction had actually begun.
When we went to the site, we were surprised to find that the road had begun to be tarred, and we wanted answers to our questions. So we asked the chief engineer a few questions. He was more than happy to answer our questions. But when we asked him how come the work which was pending for 3 years had begun over a weekend, he could not provide us with a satisfactory answer. All that we understood from this experience is that a few kids walking up and down the street, taking interviews and catching photos had alarmed the authorities so much that they began the work pending for 3 years over just a weekend.
This was not all. We had to make sure if the footpaths were being laid. So we inquired this from the chief engineer and the councillor. They said that this would not happen immediately. So we wrote a letter to the BBMP. But before all this, the sewage pipes and the water pipes had to be laid, or else the road and the footpath would be dug up again and again just to lay these pipes. Stating all these issues, we wrote a letter to the chairperson of BWSSB. We hope for full and immediate cooperation.
Our learning experience from this Bala Janaagraha project has been tremendous. We learned to cooperate with each other and also learn the spirit of teamwork. We realized that not everything can be done single-handedly and that each one's opinion matters. We interacted and empathized with the people's problems. We also got an opportunity to apply our mathematical skills. We became aware of our responsibilities towards our society, which will make us better future citizens of our country. Moreover, we learned that not all people in government offices are corrupt. They only need an external motivation, and we are that external factor.
We thank the Bala Janaagraha organization for giving us this opportunity to make a project on this project, Namarastigalu. We are grateful to our principal, Sister Aziza Isa, our teammates, our teachers, and our parents for supporting us all throughout the project. We take pleasure in showing our heartfelt gratitude towards the Councillor of Puramau Agara for providing us with the required information for this accomplishment.
Now we'll go ahead with the jingles.
Through the roads, my latest Chevrolet. Over the gutters we go, bumping all the way. Honks from all the cars, honking every time. Raising so much dust around, impossible to stay. Stop and go, braking all the way. Oh, no fun it is to ride on a pothole riddle way. Hey, stop and go, braking all the way. Oh, no fun it is to ride on a pothole riddle way. Dashing through the roads in my latest Chevrolet. Over the gutters we go, bumping all the way. Honks from all the cars, honking every time. Raising so much dust around, impossible to stay. Stop and go, braking all the way. Oh, no fun it is to ride on a pothole riddle way. Hey, stop and go, braking all the way. Oh, no fun it is to ride on a pothole riddle way.
Safer roads, safer country. Zero tolerance on broken roads.
Thank you, Oasis International School, for your presentation and for another song to sing for Christmas.
Lights, camera, action!
This main road has vacant sites, which is the root cause of mosquito bites. The garbage van comes jiggling with a whistle, but the collection of wet and dry is yet a matter of tussle. The odor emptied by the waste makes me shut the door in a haste. A part of the road is under litigation, and the people live there give a heartbreaking sensation. Little children have to be given solace for the fear of dog menace. Humps need to be added as a speed breaker, or else accidents will occur with the sound of a cracker. The irregular supply of water, which is not even enough to fill a sometimes quarter. The power cut on and off makes the residents go pell-mell thereof. I wish everything is brought to order, so that our life is not made to bother. I am Ranjit, and this is my team. Amulya, Zuha, Aditya, Chandana. Shravya, Monisha, Rutvik, Ritik. Prahalad, Pramod. We are the environmentalists.
On a mission with a vision.
Now my friend Chandana will let us speak a few words about the road.
The presentation which we are doing is based on the topic My City, My Road. The road which we have chosen for our project is 2nd Main Road, Bhupasandara, RMV 2nd Stage, Bangalore 94.
Now let's have a glimpse of the survey map made by our team.
The road measures 300 meters in length and 30 feet in width. The footpath measures 1 meter on both the sides. It has many houses, several vacant sites, and also a good park. It also has many H configuration, which are requirements for a study.
The road has 12 houses, 8 vacant sites on the northern side and 8 houses, 3 vacant sites on the southern side. The road has 3 sodium vapor lamps for powerful lighting and also has tubelets on the T-turns. The road totally has 5 T-turns in number and 6 sewage chambers. All the residents get their supply of water from BWSSB. Now, let's see a few negative aspects of the road.
The uneven exposure of stones over the rain drains are a source of road accidents for school-going children. The cars parked haphazardly causes traffic obstruction. Water puddles on the muddy roads promotes mosquito breeding, which is a cause of health hazard as dengue and malaria.
The next main problem is the garbage. Garbage is thrown all around, which is the source of mosquito breeding. The cows graze the same plastic bags containing garbage and pass toxin milk when consumed by us is hazardous to our health. Poisonous plants like datura and parthenium are highly infectious and allergic. Now, let's see a few slogans based on the negative aspects of the road.
Garbage, garbage everywhere, not a soul to give a care. The garbage van comes jiggling with a whistle, but the wet and dry garbage is yet a matter of puzzle. Darkness prevails without care, with street lights shining here and there.
Now, let's see a few points that should be implemented on the road.
Now we are going to discuss the solutions for the problems of the road.
Stormwater drains should be covered to prevent the clogging of drains due to weeds and sand.
Roads should be neatly asphalted to make it free from puddles and potholes, which will help the free movement of traffic.
Signboards should be provided at T intersections and school zone areas to facilitate for the smooth movement of traffic.
Speed breakers at main intersections and school zones will prevent rash driving and overspeeding.
Street lights should be maintained properly for proper lighting of the street.
Tree planting will provide shade and oxygen free.
Stray dog menace should be properly curbed for a safer environment.
Thank you.
Now, let's see a few slogans based on the points that should be implemented on the road.
If you plant a tree, you'll get oxygen free. North, south, east, west. Please keep your road the best. Safeguard your road. The road will safeguard you.
Now, let's see the Hindi jingle composed by our team. Bam bam bole, soch ke hum dole.
बोले सोच के हम डोले
रास्ते को हम साफ सुंदर कर ले खाई से को साफ रख दो कीड़ों को तुम दूर भगाओ रोगों को हटाओ लोगों को बचाओ चल 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 नए काम कर ले स्पीड ब्रेकर रास्ते पे डालो साइन बोर्ड को ऊपर लगाओ एक्सीडेंट को रोको लोगों को बचाओ चल 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 नए काम कर ले पेड़ों को तुम कभी न काटो कुत्तों को तुम दूर भगाओ रास्ते पे न खेलो बल्बों को न फोड़ो रास्ते को हम स्वर्ग बनाएंगे बम बम बोले सोच के हम डोले रास्ते को हम साफ सुंदर कर ले.
Now, I will speak a few points about the redesign map. Cycle track measuring 1 meter each should be provided on either side of the road during school timings as one-ways. This is a major item of priority for the children. Humps need to be added at regular intervals. Trees should be planted with tree protectors at permissible distances of the road. Dustbins should be placed at regular intervals for regular collection, segregation, and separation of garbage. Signboards should be put up such as school zone, speed breaker, accident zone, and alike. Now, I would like to speak a few words about our team contribution. Even we have contributed. First of all, we demonstrated deweeding near the footpaths of the road. We interviewed the residents, asked them what were the problems faced by them in their day-to-day life, and we assured them with solutions. We also educated them about garbage segregation, that is hazardous waste, dry waste, and wet waste. We interviewed the corporator of the area, Mr. Krishnamurthy, and told him about the problems faced by the residents in their day-to-day life, and he also assured us with solutions. We met with the secretary of the Vinayaka Association layout, who told us what were the problems faced by the residents and what steps the association had taken to solve the problems. We also cleared the stones that were narrowing down the T-turn in the edge of the road. On a concluding note, we the team members have put forth the difficulties faced by the residents in their day-to-day life and what steps can be taken to solve them. Thank you.
The beginning of active citizenship.
In the post-tea coffee break session, what we have lined up is addresses by the other two dignitaries who have been with us since the start of the event, Ms. Maya Menon and Mrs. Preetham Benjamin. And then we will have feedback from 5 principals of schools who have participated in Bala Janaagraha program over the years, some for more number of years, and some only last academic year. We shall start with the address by Ms. Maya Menon, Founder, Director, the Teacher Foundation. May I request you, ma'am, to please address us.
I'd like to first of all thank Bala Janaagraha, Valli, Ramesh, and others at Bala Janaagraha for inviting me to talk at this session, at this event, as well as, of course, listen to Mr. Premji. Mr. Premji has actually, the Wipro has been one of the supporters who's helped us start the Teacher Foundation over 10.5 years ago. So in a sense, we are always indebted to Wipro. And they continue to support a national level project that we do. So my session, I'm keeping it very short. It's about nurturing social and emotional well-being in schools. This has been an enduring concern and passion for many of us at the Teacher Foundation. While we do a lot of training programs for teachers, we work with teachers, as our name suggests. We work with over 27,000 teachers in these last 10.5 years. But one of the concerns we've had is that can schools become more caring? So nurturing social and emotional well-being of children has been one of our big concerns. So I want us to do a quick sort of, just to get you activated a little bit. In our schools, I want you to think about in our schools and whether you agree with this. If it's true, you need to have an action, and if it's false, another action. So I want all of you to raise your hands. Right hand, please. Everybody's got your hands raised? Okay. Now, if I'm going to flash a statement, if the statement is true, you spread your palms out like that. If the statement is false, you need to close it. Okay? So if it's true, how do you do it? True, that way. False? Okay. So just keep that going, and I'm going to flash these statements. In our schools, students are often labeled. It could be lazy, naughty, dumb. Yes, no, I see a lot of truths. In our schools, teachers praise children mainly for good academic work. True.
mainly, majority. In our schools, only a small percentage of children regularly receive good news about themselves, which is also sent out to their parents. True? Okay, here there are a lot of young people who are saying false, but many others, adults, are saying true. Okay, a few more. The average middle plodder child gets overlooked. The average child, the child who's not brilliant, the child who's not terrible, gets overlooked. Okay, here we have a lot of truths. In our school, sarcasm and cynicism is a common feature among staff members. Okay, some people have it, but it's sort of 50-50 or even 60-40, 60-40 towards true. Some staff members rarely speak out in staff meetings. You won't know it, but the children may not know it, but adults will know it. Lots of truths. Staff frequently grumble about their workload and responsibilities. And that's easy to say. True. Staff rarely experience praise from each other or from the head. True? Okay, this is 50-50. Many are saying false. Last 4. Every class teacher has a regular designated time to discuss problems with individual children. Many are saying true. There is a system that allows children to record and monitor their own progress. That children can record, what did I do well, what did I not do well, how could I improve, and so on. True. All children's anxieties and fears about studies and play are listened to. All children's fears about work and play, studies and play are listened to. True. And the quiet children are given the same attention as the more vocal ones. Okay, we have a few falses, but many truths. Okay, a quick, this is just sort of a dipstick assessment of what happens in our schools. Many of you, for the first set of statements, which were the first 8 statements, had true. Many of you, for this set of 4 statements, also had true. Perhaps sometimes, and I'm just challenging you to think, it may be more case of aspirational. We'd like to think that we have time for every child. We do give time to every child. Perhaps it's not really happening, but perhaps we want to think, and we do intend to do. So are our schools caring? I'd like to share with you a few things that people have said or newspapers constantly tell us. Teacher canes a student and blinds him. Screams a newspaper headline. This happens often. It's blinding, makes a child deaf, etc. There are lots of horror stories we hear in newspapers about what happens in schools. You didn't deserve to win this competition. This is something that happened to somebody I know. A student, a senior school student, was told this by her teacher, that you didn't deserve to win this competition, even though she'd won, and she'd said that I've won this competition, ma'am or sir. You've brought disgrace to the school. Maybe because she did something, I think they flouted some rule, perhaps. I'm not sure. A teacher makes a student stand outside his class for the whole day for wearing the wrong shoes. This too happens in our schools. Now, what I want to highlight here is that these things happen primarily because, and there's a big unstated concern, the quality, and this actually Mr. Premji referred to also, and I want to just emphasize upon it because this is a real concern for all of us who work directly with schools, teachers, and students. The quality and language of personal interactions in our schools is often marked by harshness, by in tone, insensitivity towards others' feelings, and a sense of inadequacy in expressing thoughts, ideas, and feelings. In fact, the schools and the young people who presented their ideas here, they did it beautifully. I thought they were confident, they had something to say, and they said it well, and so on. But that's not the case with majority of our schools out there. And I'm not saying just schools that cater to the poorer sections of society, across all socioeconomic strata. Authoritarianism and judgment pervade majority of our teacher-student interactions. It's almost as if I've got to be a teacher, I have to talk harshly to my students. If I'm a head or a principal, I have to talk tough and harshly towards my teachers and also my students. It's part of the culture of our schools. And Mr. Premji referred to that the culture of schools have to change if we need to consider civic awareness and citizenship as a critical aspect of growing up. I think we have to look at how can we be less judgmental and more accepting, more tolerant of each other in our schools. If, again, I refer to what Mr. Premji said, that if you have to learn about democracy, you have to have democratic values and live democracy in schools. Similarly, if you have to teach tolerance, if you want children to become tolerant, we have to be tolerant towards them. That's something I often say to teachers, and sometimes teachers say, yes, but that's not easy, because if we are intolerant of all this, then children will take advantage of us. But the point is that once children grow up and get older and get into society, they will do the same thing. Anybody, anytime, if somebody who's weaker is going to make a mistake, they will be intolerant of that. So we need to help children learn tolerance through us being tolerant. So in schools that care, we need to talk to students rather than at students. We need to talk to them, which means listen to them also if they have a concern, if they have a different point of view. All spaces should be safe, not just physically in terms of that staircases are safe, there are railings, there are no opportunities for children to fall and unduly hurt themselves, etc. But more importantly, emotionally safe. They need to be places where they know that they will not be made fun of, they will not be bullied, they will not be found fault with unnecessarily and unduly. So schools need to be not just physically safe, but they need to be emotionally safe. And that's something we still don't get it in our schools as yet. Parents should be communicated with in a warm way. Parents are important for all of us who work in schools. Schools exist because parents are there and parents send their children to schools. But a lot of times, schools tend to see parents as perhaps unnecessary distractions, and they come in the way. I think parents need to be engaged with it because parents will have the good of the school at heart if we engage with them in a positive way. A lot of times parents are held at arm's length because, or when a parent comes to you, comes to us, we just sort of complain, oh, your son is doing this, or your daughter is so careless, etc. So we need to recognize that parents are human beings, they have feelings, and they feel as hurt when we say something against their child, even if there's reason for us having something against their child. So we need to be able to communicate with them in a warm, positive way. There should be time and space to listen to every child's joys, fears, and sorrows. There must be time for children to speak out their happy thoughts as well as their sad thoughts, their concerns, their anxieties. There are a lot of things that go on in children's minds, and a lot of the times there's no outlet, no sort of channeled outlet for them to communicate their views. In our schools at least. And that's why they usually resort to talking to friends maybe, or just perhaps using technology, or sending a message, or tweeting, or sending an SMS on the mobile and so on. They need to be able to articulate their thoughts and feelings. In order to be human, you need to be able to articulate your feelings and ideas and thoughts. And that is something we need to actively nurture in our schools. It's not just about academic work. It's not just about maths and English and science and so on. In schools that care, we should be able to see another's point of view, even if it disagrees with our own point of view. A lot of the times, we actively prevent and discourage dissent in schools. If we're talking about living in a democracy, democracy is about multiplicity of views, multiplicity of ideas, and sometimes conflicting ideas. And we need to be able to recognize that it's okay to have different people having different ideas, as long as we agree to disagree. And that's something we hold so much store on obedience and conformity in our schools. And we need to be a little bit more broad-minded about this. The other is that teachers should loosen up and laugh with the students. I believe in order for a school to be caring, a school must have teachers who will have fun with children. I agree there are boundaries. We're not talking about crossing boundaries of what would be seen as professional behavior on the part of teachers, but teachers need to lighten up. Teachers need to be a lot more humorous with children, especially older students, I believe. And each student's unique qualities in the class must be recognized. We know it at an intellectual level, but we don't practice it on a day-to-day basis every single day. When we see that child who's irritating the life out of you, how can you still see something positive in that child? Every student should experience success. Every student may not experience success in maths and academic work, but it's very important for every young person to experience success in something in those 12 or 14 years that they spend in school. Because that, in a way, boosts their self-confidence, their morale, and gives them some sense of personal identity. So in the past 1 year or so, we have been involved, the Teacher Foundation, because of our enduring concern about nurturing social and emotional well-being in children, we are developing learning standards at a national level for social emotional growth and development. And interestingly, this is being supported by Wipro Applying Thought in Schools. So it's an app that Mr. Premji was here a while ago. What are learning standards? There are learning standards for maths, there are learning standards for science, there could be learning standards for geography, history, English, etc. Learning standards are clear, appropriate educational goals that help teachers to assess and monitor students' progress. So we know immediately at 6 years, what sort of mathematical ideas and concepts should a child know, or what sort of language ability should a child have, and so on. That's at the age of 12, or at the age of 15, and so on. So that's learning standards in academic subjects. They are a set of guidelines and instruction shaping and influencing the learning that takes place in the classroom. However, if we think that learning and education is all about developing the whole child, the complete child, who has various facets, the cognitive facet, the physical facet, the emotional and social facet, the ethical facet, as Ms. Premji said, then we need to have standards for that also. So currently, the Teacher Foundation is doing something where we're developing learning standards for social emotional development, so that we know what sort of social emotional competence should a child of 6 years demonstrate, 8 years, 12 years, 15 years, 18 years. So these learning standards can guide all formative assessment in schools. So if, especially the CBSE schools and even the state schools who are now going towards, going the CCE route, continuous comprehensive evaluation, all schools who follow the state or the CBSE system, they have to regularly assess students in terms of their values, life skills, attitudes, apart from academic work. If that's the case, there need to be clear standards so that you know, against the standards, where is this particular child in terms of social emotional learning or social emotional competence, etc. So that's what we are looking at developing. And what a simple framework could be this. Framework for learning standards for social emotional learning. The child needs to have some self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and decision-making. Now, for each of these heads, there are indicators and there are sub-indicators, etc. So that each of these would be described in detail. The ability to demonstrate self-awareness, social awareness, manage yourself, manage relationships, as well as, of course, take decisions in life. So children's learning outcomes don't happen because of what you teach or what teachers teach. It happens because it depends upon what the teacher believes and does in the classroom. That's what matters. It's, as people say, values are not taught, they are caught. So in the same way, whatever the child learns depends on what the teacher believes deeply and actually actively, day after day, week after week, month after month, does in her classroom. I want to just end by saying the world becomes what we teach. So if we're teaching for rote learning, that's what the world will become. If we teach only blind obedience, that's what the world will become. If we teach, and the world will not become what we don't teach. So if we don't teach for active engagement, for participation, for civic awareness, for democratic behavior, for responsible behavior, for collaborative behavior, etc., for tolerance, our young people may not ever learn that. Therefore, the work that Bala Janaagraha does and all the work that we do in social, emotional development, life skills, etc., is so very critical. Thank you.
May I now call upon the stage Mrs. Preetham Benjamin, Director, Indus Training and Research Institute, to address us all.
What an audience. I am really dumbstruck to have been called a dignitary for the first time in my life. Thank you so much, Bala Janaagraha friends, my new friends. I am also amazed at the work that, the involvement that the children have, and that's reason to rejoice. What I have chosen to speak about today is a little removed from all of this, but ties up very well with what Maya said a few minutes ago. Learning about life is not about life skills. Life skills feed into our own personal individual development. Learning about life, the way I see it, feeds into the kind of person I'm going to be, and indeed the kind of citizen I'm going to become. Not me, but the child. If you notice that at the corner, bottom corner, I have all these symbols that would indicate to you where I'm going with this. But perspectives, social, personal, a worldview, how many of you principals and other senior members of a school can honestly, truthfully say that your children go out, they leave your school after several years of your guidance and nurture? How many of them go out with a worldview, with perspectives that are their very own? Perhaps this is a little radical, but it is, I deem, very, very necessary. I keep telling children who are, you know, about 13, 14, sometimes even 12 these days, that your belief system, whatever you believe in, you may believe in LOL, which is laughing out loud, and you may believe in LAL, which is learning about life. And how do you learn? Do you learn from people? Do you learn from books? Do you learn from movies? Do you learn from television? How do you learn? Because everything is feeding into your belief system, which determines the boundaries. Now, boundary can be a very safe thing. It can be a very dangerous thing. You cross that boundary, you've crossed into no man's land, or you've crossed into enemy territory. So your belief system should not contain you. It should not be form a tight wall around you, but should support you. It should let the world know who you are, where you're coming from, and where you're going. So living with diverse belief systems stems from knowledge, understanding, respect. Such a simple formula, one feeding into the other. We lack knowledge of other people's beliefs, whether they are religious or social or personal. We lack, therefore, how can there be understanding without knowledge? And without knowledge and understanding, how can there be respect? And without respect, there is chaos. Every now and then. Why every now and then? Every day. Look at the papers. You don't like to look at them, but we are compelled to see what goes on around us. That's the world our children are inheriting. All right, I will now come to the point of religious beliefs, very specific kind of belief, but something that colors our lives very strongly in India. You have your personal ones. Before that, you have your familial beliefs that are fed into you willy-nilly, either through practice of ritual or through dialogue, which is very much, very ideal, or through observing others' families. And then there is social, cultural, and national. Our national beliefs, is there any homogeneity there? And I do believe that schools have got to step in. I'm passionate about this, but I'm a lone voice. I haven't heard others saying anything about this. One school has taken up this cause, and we have a curriculum in place for what we call learning about life, interfaith studies. So in a pluralistic society like ours, can we just wish away? Can we just say that this is what we should have and this is what we should not have? Or do we have to do something about it? Look at my list. Add to it if you like. Our varied faiths. One custom, one belief, one superstition cancelling out somebody else's. Our attitudes. Are they of, when we say that we have a tolerant attitude, we think it's wonderful. That is a step towards positivity, but not quite there. Our attitudes towards each other. Children of grade 3 are supposed to know what the retiring age of the President of India is. How many members fill the Rajya Sabha seats? They're supposed to know that, and most of them do, especially the ones, the test takers. Our generation of test takers know this by heart. What does it mean? Doesn't matter. Don't really care. It's not the teacher's concern to explain at that point. They will get to know when they're in grade 8. All right. So I'm looking at a study for knowledge, understanding, and respect. But this will always be in addition to, never instead of something. You may well ask, look, we've got so much activity packed into a child's day. When are we going to do all this? Quite unnecessary, not, not compulsory. But it has to be ubiquitous. It has to be woven into your system, like leadership, like all these wonderful, desirable things, qualities that we imbue children with. After this emotional safety, after these positives that you feed in, let's move on to something that will help them grow as individuals and feed into their, their brownie points as citizens. So we must be committed to celebrating diversity, building relationships with each other, not just your next door neighbor, but even the man on the street, the woman on the street. Building relations and understanding for peaceful coexistence. It seems such a hackneyed term, but it is the key to survival. Enable a better living and work environment. Then, what role does the teacher have here? Does she just deliver a syllabus like she does for so many other areas of learning? Does she just talk of her own experiences, good or bad? We have said that none of this should ever promote one faith and not give enough credence to the other. She has to be a facilitator, role model, and guide. Maya said that again and again. Mr. Premji said it this morning, that the quality of leadership is not talked about, it is demonstrated. Facilitator, role model, and guide. And we have to look at change. Look at what John Dewey said. We have to look at change, and in this manner too. Too long have we kept spirituality and religion, yeah, I'll say the R word, religion out of our classes. The devastation of morals, even in a country as advanced as the USA, I ascribe to just that. This kind of secularism that we preach, that we say that is fair to everybody. Where has that got us? Celebrating diversity. Understanding the diversity of faiths and cultures. In grade 4, or even before that, sometimes in grade 2, we have in social studies chapters on festivals, on customs, on ceremonies, and that is good as general knowledge for knowing that there are different kinds of people, that we have neighbors who have different practices and celebrate on different days. But does a child really understand at any point of time why their classmates don't eat meat? Do they understand it, the reason for it? Do they understand why on certain days children come fasting to school, or children's parents fast, at home? So expanding their horizons to learn about other beliefs, faiths, and practices from around the world. So to teach, in order to explain, in order to encourage dialogue and debate, we must learn. And believe me, it is a great journey. Establishing an environment of understanding and equality. You know that we have so much strife, so much violence, so much chaos and disaster that stems from the many inequalities that exist, and inequality of numbers in our faith, in our belief systems, is very glaring at us all the time. And then we move to personal values. This word values is bandied about a lot among teacher leaders, among people who seek to bring up the moral standards of a country. But we look at societal values and we say, we are all right. I don't know about them. So I come back to this again and again. This is the formula. I had a visit with a school in the US at one time, and I borrowed this matrix from them that it describes behavioral expectations, dealing with diverse beliefs and customs and culture. Our thinking, our talking, our conversations would bring us to the point where everybody, children, teachers, seniors, principals, they would understand and model themselves and get children to model expected behavior and all of this. I thought this was a good, convenient way of explaining this, especially to young children, easy to remember. Now, coming to personal perspectives. These are some of the questions, are they ever asked? These stem from the habit of reflection. If our children are always receiving our wisdom or the wisdom of books, especially textbooks, sometimes only textbooks, do these questions ever visit them? Do these questions ever hound them? Second one, what Maya spoke of. Older people. We are at that crossroads where, tradition is giving away to being with it, giving way to being trendy. Older people. And older people too expect reverence, expect respect without deserving it. That's a big failing. If I'm hurting, if I have so many problems, really, how can I help anybody else? These are questions that visit children, and then they just unthink them away because they feel there are no answers. And of course, the last, this feeds out of our system that builds great test takers, that you're looking at your own destiny, you're looking at your own path to progress and fortune. Why should you bother about others? These are larger questions. You're moving out of your own little circle, your own little personal aura, and you're beginning to ask these questions. By the time you're coming to grade 8, I see that all the students have vanished. That's a sad thing. How did the world begin? What happens when we die? Which is the true God? Why is there suffering? Why are there so many ceremonies? Why can't life just be one simple, fun event? Several answers, but we never look for them. We never help children to look for them. We shut them up. Now, moving on to, say, grade 8, moving on to grade 9, I will step a little away from the group that Bala Janaagraha serves. These are the questions that occur in every subject. It is not out of the syllabus, as I am being told so often. All of these are only a few of the problems that visit us every day. What do children think of this? You have kids who are clearing 12th grade, ready for professional courses, ready for university, ready for college, and they have no worldview. We give them the right to vote without giving them the education to vote. They cannot make, they do not, apart from not knowing who the public servants are, they have no way of judging who will deliver and who will not. Where is this education going to come from? There's only one answer. It's going to come from school. So where do we find these answers? There are a lot of options there. Is it coming from parents? Sometimes there are dining table discussions, but getting rarer and rarer as people don't eat together anymore. They don't talk together anymore. There are generation gaps even within a nuclear family. Books, whoever reads books nowadays? In a school setting, very few. Where's the time? Religion, scriptures. Scriptures are read in an obscure language which children certainly don't understand. They fold their hands, they close their eyes, they do the right thing, but nothing goes into the head. Religion. Religion, does it mean ritual? Does it mean attendance at church or at the family puja or at festivals in the temple, or saying your prayers 5 times a day? What is it? That is where the solutions that I think might work for us. Multi-faith studies, it is not instruction. It has absolutely no bias in the way I think and what I believe. The world community in which we live, certainly in the urban areas of our country. No indoctrination, no bias. Now, this is a tricky thing, because obviously my beliefs will color somewhat the way I'm delivering. But we have some people who think similarly. We have built up a curriculum with heavy borrowings from the national curriculum in UK. We have built up a syllabus where each class, each group of children can get this kind of information, not only from teachers or guest lecturers, but themselves. The internet has opened an ocean of information, and very often children can be at the heart of this finding out. Description, insight, and reflection. The key word, again, is reflection. Even a kindergartner can reflect. Think about that. A narrow viewpoint for the whole truth, don't ever make that exchange. And of developing cold clinical objectivity that follows the wrong type of detachment. These are our objectives. Evaluating ideas. That comes obviously in a class of 60 or even more. It is very difficult to get children to talk, and the teacher habitually does most of the talking. But groups can be done. There are a number of ways in which you can facilitate this. You can get children to write. These are the goals, that individuals learn from each other, and that goes across age groups. Understanding the diversity of faiths, and this facilitates living together in peace and justice. It's the only way. Understanding and equality is our goal. This is the approach I've talked about. This is in another mold. These are the various means that you could use to facilitate this. The work of a rock group called Petra, which is a Christian rock group. Theme areas. These are some of the theme areas that you could have. Festivals and ceremonies we do have. Rites of passage. And what is of great relevance to children is the rites of passage that relate to adolescence. Coming of age, the thread ceremony, the patka ceremony, the confirmation, the first communion, all of these. And then, most importantly, codes of conduct. How do we view a certain situation? Pull it out of a newspaper. I can remember an NIE session that I remembered, Maya, many, many years ago, where the first 2 pages of the newspaper were used for just about everything. It was the day's paper. And how cleverly this leader, this workshop leader, used that to stimulate children. Issues in life and the world. Look beyond your own cozy circle, or look beyond your own problems and look outside. This again spells out some of the issues that we can examine. Coping with conflict. This involves not just parents, not just teachers, not just principals. This involves the whole community and eventually the whole world. I'd be very happy to correspond with you on this, or discuss with you anything, any interest that you might have. Thank you very much.
We will quickly move on to the last bucket of this session, which is feedback from principals. We would have 5 principals share their thoughts with us. We will start with Mr. B. Vinod from DPS Patna. विनोद जी, आपसे अनुरोध है कृपया मंच पर आकर अपनी बात कहें.
I come from Takshila Educational Society, which run 4 schools: Delhi Public School, Patna, Pune, Ludhiana, and Coimbatore. So as a whole, we have almost 10,000 children, 450 teachers, and we are committed with Bala Janaagraha from October 2011. I remember the first visit made by Mrs. Valli, and the moment she entered my room, I thought that is what she is going to do with Bala Janaagraha, that too with our school. She started throwing some questions, which made me really feel bad. That is, I never knew even a single answer of maybe 4 or 5 questions that she asked. So today when I came here, I was fully prepared that if somebody is going to ask me, that is, who is the mayor of Patna or other people, that is, I was ready with the answer. Anyhow, before getting into detail about that because I'm here to learn. And I expected a bigger audience today because I wanted that principals, senior teachers of the schools, they must attend these type of programs. It's a delight to listen to Mr. Premji, Mr. Ramanathan, and the dignitaries who spoke just 2 minutes back. And we are just handful sitting here and trying to listen to these people. Anyway, the first thing that I want to bring about after listening to all these people is that what we lack in school is teachers. To be very honest, the children, they don't want to now learn inside the classroom. They want to go outside the classroom. And Bala Janaagraha has helped our school in taking the children outside the classroom and learn. Spent a couple of minutes on this issue. मैं इतना आपको बता दूं, मेरी जानकारी उतनी भी कम नहीं है जितनी आपकी जानकारी में है. So, what is happening to teachers? Every parent in this world, they want their ward to be taught by the best teacher in the world. But they never want their ward to be a teacher. Even principal like me or those who are sitting in front of me or maybe anybody for that case. Nobody has ever seen a dream that is my son or my daughter, they'll become the best of teachers and they'll be in schools. If at all they think that their ward should be teachers, they only aspire to become teachers in colleges. They want to get that label, professor or doctor. And then we expect to bring a change. So who are those teachers who are teaching right now in schools? They are forced teachers. They are not teachers by choice. Principal, they never run the school. School is run or school is there just because of teachers. Wars and battles are won by soldiers. But history only remembers kings. This is the most unfortunate statement, that history will only remember that when he or she was the principal, the school was at its peak. But the fact is, it is the teachers who run the schools. I know children, that is, who are very good in academics. They never become better citizens. But the fact is, why do we want children to just go through books? Because the teachers, they don't have proper training. So the way they have studied or the way they have not studied or they have not learned in school, they want their children, they want their students to learn in that way. I remember the ghazal of Mehndi Hasan. जैसे सूखे फूल किताबों में मिले. So if you want your child to be a bookworm, so क्या बन के निकलेगा? सूखे फूल. Children come to school basically to earn vidya. That is why they are known as vidyarthi. Vidya arpan karne. And ultimately what happens? We make them pariksharthi. That is, we are famous for taking tests. Tests which are designed by us. I don't know whether we are testing ourselves or the children. We are testing our knowledge or we are testing the knowledge of the child. I am thankful to Bala Janaagraha. That is, they introduced the concept that best learning takes place in groups. When our children, they went to the chief minister or anybody for that matter in the state government, when they used to come back, they had so much of discussions with me, my teachers. Let me tell you, that is, I was confused whether my answer that they are going to pen down is going to be the right one or not. And ultimately, by the end of this project, and when they were supposed to present that, and when Prasad sir and Mrs. Valli, they came for the first time, I was amazed that my children, they knew more than me. This learning can only take place in these type of platforms. I request that is those schools which are nearby your schools, you must encourage. Today morning I was just telling the principal of DPS South, Mrs. Bala Subramaniam, that is I am going for this meeting. You must be also a part of Bala Janaagraha. So please encourage other schools also to join this mission. In Indian schools, whether it is CBSE or ICSE, we have this continuous assessment as per CCE, but we never take into account the community service done by the children. You go to any foreign boards, when our children, they pass class 12, they appear for SAT, they want to go to foreign universities. Nowadays, it is not just the score of SAT which will land you in best of colleges. They look into the aspect, what type of community service you have done. Me and my city, we started with DPS Patna in 2011-12. Now that has been extended to DPS Pune and Ludhiana. Now our fourth school, which is only up to grade 6, let me spill the beans, that is also going to join Bala Janaagraha after 2 years. So there will be 4 schools under Takshila who will be attached with Bala Janaagraha. And I'm sure that is, we are going to write a success story in each of these cities. I thank Bala Janaagraha for supporting our school. I would never say that we are partners to Bala Janaagraha, rather they are supporting us to make our children and the mass aware of urban planning. Whatever project they have taken up, let me assure you that is they are trying to follow up in class 9th and 10th. It usually happens that is once it is done, the project is done here, it's over. So there has to be some follow-up, and I assure you that is going to be taken up to class 9th and 10th for all 3 schools right now. Thank you very much for making me speak like this, because I never get a platform like this. I don't come out from my school. CBSE examinations are going on, still I could make it here. So I think that is other principals could have also made it. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Veni from East West High School, Baswangudi. This school has been with Bala Janaagraha for the past 8 years.
I'm Veni from the East West School, Baswangudi. We've been associated with Bala Janaagraha since 2004, and this almost decade-long association has enriched our children's awareness towards the civic issues dogging our city. The program is offered to the 8th standard students in our school, and we are indeed able to see the classes becoming conscious of their surrounding and conscientiously trying to make their surrounding and their city a better place to live. A very simple yet significant example I can share is the lack of littering in our classrooms. The classroom activities conducted with the help of handbook Me and My City are not only interesting but also enlightening and enriching. One of my students said, and I quote, "We can't just sit at home and gripe, but we have to stand up and wipe the problems we face." While the fests conducted by Bala Janaagraha no doubt honed the competitive spirit in our children, on a broader perspective, these fests have been an eye-opener for the children. Coming from cloistered homes and caring families, facing the harsh reality of civic problems is quite jolting for these children. Grumbling about the horrible roads is the pet peeve of Bangaloreans, and Bala Janaagraha took Namma Rastegalu as this year's topic for the fest. Our children went all out in measuring the streets, talking to the residents, interviewing the local corporator, etc. They were very thrilled when our local corporator acted immediately on one of their complaints and solved the problem right away. The project has acted as a wake-up call to our children who are now looking at themselves and their surrounding with new eyes. Maybe we can take a leaf out of the Japanese schooling system, where students and teachers have to pitch in to keep their classrooms and surroundings spick and span. The three segments of Bala Janaagraha, the classroom sessions, the civic projects, and the civic fests, have helped our children emerge as bright, confident, and concerned citizens of our country. Bala Janaagraha has opened many doors. However, there are still innumerable doors tight shut, unopened yet. These are the doors of the future. I'm sure one of my children will open these doors. I sincerely thank Bala Janaagraha for their earnest endeavor. I thank Mrs. Valli and other Bala Janaagraha members for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts. May the tribe of Janaagrahis increase. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Veni. Now, Mrs. Soumya Sunil from Narmada School, Bengaluru.
Good afternoon. My name is Soumya. I am the principal of Narmada Memorial School. This is Wilson Garden. My school has been associated with Bala Janaagraha program from the past couple of years. I want to congratulate the whole team for putting up together a very well-planned curriculum and also for playing an effective role in empowering students. Students of class 8th have been chosen for this program. That is children of around 12 to 13 years. I feel that this is the right age to develop in them a sense of maturity and oneness. Through this program, they're developing a sense of belonging to their city, that the responsibility of maintaining a city lies also with them and it is not solely the government's job. The children participated wholeheartedly. They enjoyed and also learned a lot. Of course, they do learn about their country in history and how it functions in civics. But through this program, they actually got involved and understood better the intricate details of how things function. I would like to wish the Bala Janaagraha team more success and also applaud their dedication towards enlightening children. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Soumya. Next up, Mr. K.R. Satyanarayana, BBMP School, Kodandarampura.
ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಇದು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು. ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಬಂದು 8th ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡನ್ನು ಅವ್ರು ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರು. ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ಬುಕ್ಕು ಮೀ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೈ ಸಿಟಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನಾನು ಮತ್ತು ನನ್ನ ನಗರ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮತ್ತು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಎರಡನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಹಾಗೆ ಒಂದು ಟೀಮನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದರು ಅವರು. ಡೈಲಿ ಮಂಡೇ ಮತ್ತು ಟ್ಯೂಸ್ಡೇ ವೀಕ್ಲಿ 2 ಟೈಮ್ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಪಿರಿಯಡನ್ನು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ವಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವರು ಇನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಬಂದು ಒಂದು ಪಿರಿಯಡಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಟೀಮನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅವರು ಒಂದು ರೋಡನ್ನು ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರು. ಆ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟ್ರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇರನ್ನು ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಮುಂದೆ ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಒಂದು ಚಾರ್ಟು ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಹೇಗೆ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅದನ್ನು ಅಂತ ಅವರು ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಟ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬರ್ಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಟೀಚರ್ ವಾಣಿಶ್ರೀ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಈ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ಸಿಂದ. ಮತ್ತು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಹೋಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಇದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದರು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 3rd ಪ್ರೈಸನ್ನು ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆಯ ಮಕ್ಕಳು. ಮತ್ತು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ HM. ಇದು ಮುಂದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೂ ತುಂಬ ಇನ್ನೂ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಟೀಚರ್ಸು ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿ. ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಮುಂದೆ ಇದರಿಂದ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ನಗರವನ್ನು ಸ್ವಚ್ಛತೆಯಿಂದ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ಅರಿವನ್ನು ಮೂಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಬರಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಿಟಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ನಗರ, ನಮ್ಮ ಜನ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು, ಹೇಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ನಗರವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಮುಂದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅರಿವು ಮೂಡಲಿ, ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ನಮ್ಮ ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ತಲುಪಲಿ ಅದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Thank you very much, Nirmala ji. the last principal from the list that I have here today of the principals who are sharing their feedback is Mrs. Vijaya Prasad, East West High School.
Assembled here. It is a real surprise for me when I came over here. They asked me to speak. When this Bala Janaagraha was introduced in our institution, I was away in US. So I didn't know. When I came back in the month of July, they said that this program have introduced. The headmistress of the institution, I'm PU College principal. I also coordinate with the school. It so happened she was very busy. She told Vijay Prasad, you please kindly take over this. And I didn't know anything about this. And I was also busy with my college. So it so happened 2-3, I think, sessions later, Prema started coming to our school. So I used to sit in that session and listen to. But most of the time I was occupied with my college. I couldn't concentrate on this particular program. But still, I'm very interested in all these activities. So I insisted the students to take part in that project fest. It so happened the school had their annual function, and the students could not coordinate and do the project well. But I'm very sure my students are very, very interested in doing so. So the Janaagraha program, the Janaagraha, children are going to be the future citizens, and they should get into that agraha, what is they are void of. So they should be able to motivate their locality people, in turn, people of the place. I'm sorry to tell you, DPS principal said the auditorium seems to be skeletonized because many teachers should have participated. Sir, sorry to tell you, this is the month of March. Everywhere, I know you said CBSE and exams are going on. Sir, but still, teachers who have not completed the portions, they are all concentrating only on that. Though we tell them that it all should be over by Jan, unseen, unheard holidays, unseen, unheard problems keep cropping up, hence they are tied up with all this. So many, same in our school too, so they were all worried about those things, so I said, I'm free and I'm going to do this. Actually, to tell you, there's a Hindi exam going on for first PU. I have entrusted to one of my lecturers and I've come here. But to tell you frankly, sir, our children are really good. They got the first prize in poster competition, the last fest, this one. And I feel very dissatisfied because they couldn't do in the project. Though I kept on motivating them, behind them and all, but they couldn't do it. But I'm so happy the children are really motivated. Children are backed up by these organizations. So last a week back in Tata Auditorium, Jain Tata Auditorium, National Science and some fest, again some program was held, and again my children bagged the prizes. So it's not just bagging the prizes, the awareness. They should know, but I think it takes long time for us. You said, where are the teachers, who are the teachers? See, what we were taught, probably we are not giving guidance to our children. When we talk to the children, you should become a teacher. So they keep us as role models. So we have to make our children understand the future generation, a good set of teachers should emerge. So we have to make them understand teacher profession is it's just not a respectable one, it's a needed one. Then as Dr. Radhakrishnan said, you said, teachers, it's a stopgap. When people do not get jobs anywhere, they want to become teachers. But if they take that profession, and they should put their heart and soul in that and make, because we are handling those children who are going to be the future citizens. We have to put into their minds, but what is the society doing? What is the role they are getting in front of them? Like the politicians whom they are seeing. You said criminals. the crime increasing day by day. Who are all backing up? Last week back, 2 days holidays, just because something which was not required at all for us. What did our children gain from that? Nothing. They just enjoyed 2 days holidays, that's all. We didn't teach them anything by giving 2 days holidays. This is how you have to be when you grow up. Is our elders or whatever, whoever we are seeing today, are they educating our children? No, I'm sorry to tell you that. So at least we teachers, we tell them, but who is going to listen to us, sir? Very few. So how do we orient the children? It's not orienting the teachers. Teachers, the young teachers themselves are not interested. 5 o'clock, they pack their bags and walk back home. And they don't even bother to think what they have to teach the next day and what they have to put into the mind, young mind the next day. So we have to orient the children in these organizations, NGOs. They have to come forward and make every teacher, every child understand that their responsibility is something very great. What we saw, what we enjoyed, what we did is all be gone. What is going to happen is in front of us. So for which I request all these organizations to come forward, all our youngsters here. Like today I'm seeing many more young representatives here because only Prema and others I used to see in my school. Very enthusiastic. That enthusiasm is just not enough. It has to be put into the action. So hence I thank you. Give me this opportunity to say a few words about this Bala Janaagraha. So probably next time when I come back for this function, valedictory, probably I should be able to talk something more. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Vijaya Prasad. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mrs. Prasad, would you please stay here for a while? I request all the 5 principals who have offered their feedback on the Bala Janaagraha program to come onto the stage, and I request General Prasad to present mementos to all of them. I request all the principals, vice principals, HMs present to come onto the stage for a group photograph.
I was wondering, because we had a much larger confirmation with respect to the group here in terms of attendance from schools, principals, vice principals, and other representatives. I was told that there was an RT meeting which was fixed late last night, and that is why people who had confirmed also were not able to come today. Sorry? Yes, RT meeting by the government. Sorry. So on behalf of the entire Janaagraha team here, co-founders Ramesh and Swati, General Prasad, our program coordinator, my colleagues here, and my entire team, I would like to offer my thanks first and foremost to this audience who has been able to make time and come here. We'd also like to thank Mr. Premji, who delivered the keynote address in the morning, and for his valuable insights, and he's stressing that education does play a very crucial role in nurturing the young minds to be responsible in society. Maya ji and Mrs. Benjamin, I'd like to thank you very much for the time that you gave us. Though the audience was thin, but still, I'm sure we're all going back with a lot of information, and we will surely put into use what you have shared with us, and also all the principals who came and spoke here and shared their thoughts here with us. It is so important and wonderful to see that you people believe in the kind of work that we do, because it's only when we get the support from you people that we feel that, yes, we are on the right track. We are always open to suggestions and how we can improve ourselves and make this a bigger movement, I would say, in educating and transforming today's children into active citizens of tomorrow. We don't know whether today's 8th graders will do anything really very, very, very big in their lives, maybe by the time they go to their 9th grade or 10th grade, but we sure hope that when they come to that age of exercising their franchise, when they come to the age of where they need to be really responsible, whatever we have shared with them in these growing up years will surely come useful, and they will be active and engaged citizens, and that is what we look forward to. We know change can happen, we have to be patient, and I think we are all on the right track. With the cooperation of all of you here, we surely will be able to achieve that goal in our lives. So thank you once again for being here, for spending this time with us.